You're already ahead of 70% of the people if you can understand English very well. Chances are you click this video because you want to speak in English fluently and confidently. Well, you are in the right place. So in this video, I am going to talk about a few steps that is going to entirely transform your English and going to make you a better and confident English speaker. These are the steps I have learned on the way while learning English. So it is going to be my personal experience. And all the steps I am going to mention in this video are experimented and incorporated by me. So it will certainly transform your English and will help you to become a fluent English speaker because it did help me a lot to express myself and to articulate my thoughts in a more effective way in English. So first thing I want you to understand and analyze that why you can't speak in English. What's that one thing that is stopping you to speak fluent English like others? First of all, we are going to focus on this one problem that why you can't speak in English, and then we will be talking about how we can resolve this problem. See, most of us have been told that if you want to speak in English, then you must focus on consuming enough or you must focus on speaking enough. Well, I totally agree with these points. But we need to understand that if you want to go beyond the limit, then you will have to try something else. If you are doing the same thing repeatedly, if you are repeating your actions or whatever steps you have been following, it might not be helpful to you in the long run. Let me give you an example. We have been told that if we want to speak in English, then we must focus on consuming enough. So you are following that one step. You are reading multiple books, you are reading multiple articles, you are listening to hundreds of podcasts, or you are watching different kinds of videos so that you can consume enough and everything will proceed to your mind easily. And whenever you want to speak, you will easily be able to do that. Well, I'm not going to say that you are doing anything wrong, but you will have to understand that when you are consuming, you have to produce at the same time. But we most often neglect that step. We are focusing on consumption as much as we can, but we easily forget to focus on production. We are not focusing enough on the process that is going to make us fluent. I mean, just think yourself that why somebody becomes good at anything. That could be any language, that could be the way they speak, because they have done that thing as much as they could. So, if you want to speak in English fluently, you will have to speak as much as we can, regardless of what steps you are following. All I'm trying to say here is focus on balancing everything. See, this is one of the common mistakes a lot of people make. Even I have done the same thing. Initially, I was consuming craziest amount of content for 6 7 hours without speaking even a single word. And I was expecting myself to speak fluent and flawless English, but that would never happen. Because if you are not speaking enough, then how could you expect yourself to speak fluently whenever you want? So my point is not to stop focusing on consumption, but focus on maintaining the level. I mean, if you are consuming anything, then speak as well at the same time. Or if you are watching any video or listening to any podcast or reading any books or whatever you are doing, then try to summarize them in your own words so that you can speak fluently whenever you want. This is the most common reason many people cannot speak in English. They understand English very well but struggle to speak. So now let's talk about the solution, how we can resolve that problem. First thing I want you to focus on creating small sentences. I know you have been trying your level best to speak in English, but the moment you try, you either get stuck or forget the exact word which you are supposed to use in your sentences. I totally get you because I was also there. I know how it feels when you really want to speak, but you always have some sort of hurdle that is stopping you to speak fluently and flawless English. There is one thing I did a bit different, and that was regardless of how many mistakes I was making, still I kept creating new sentence. So initially I was completely reliable on translation. I used to translate everything from my mother tongue to English. But gradually I decided to reduce that friction and focused on mainly creating sentences on my own. Even though those sentences were tiny and it was super simple, because they were like, I want to eat mango. I do not want to go there. I have to meet her, like something like that. So I guess if you focus on these sentences, then it will entirely change your English. Another step that has changed my way, and this is going to be the next step. So once you have created small sentences, the next thing you are supposed to focus on questions and answers. For example, how can you ask any question to others? Or how to respond to any question. So I went to Google and there were hundreds and thousands of questions you could find. I think I answered more than 500 questions, and that has changed my fluency. This is something I would highly recommend you, that if you want to improve your English, focus on answering questions. Just make sure that you are asking different types of questions to yourself and then answering. And it would be way better if you record yourself. It's like an interview. So in this way, you could see how you are going to perform whenever somebody is going to interview you. So it will certainly change your way. But yeah, never be confused that what kind of questions I'm supposed to ask to myself. I mean, there are different kinds of questions you could ask. If you're a complete beginner, then I would recommend you to ask about yourself. That could be, what makes me happy? What makes me angry? And what is that one thing I would like to change about myself? Like these kind of questions. But once you improve, gradually change the way you are asking and the kind of questions you have been approaching to. So this is the step I would highly recommend you, because it is going to entirely transform your English and will help you to articulate your thoughts in a more effective way. Another and the most important step is practice as if you are performing in front of others. Oh my god, this is going to be life changing for you, because I still remember when I was practicing with myself, I had no idea about any apps, and I guess I was not confident enough to speak with others. So I was practicing with myself. So I used to imagine that I'm on the stage or I'm giving a speech in front of hundreds of people and talking about my experience, talking about my life, talking about my school life, like every single thing. So I used to imagine that somebody has asked me any question and now it's my turn to answer that question. So I used to just be super confident. I used to walk here and there so that I would look more confident and all. And I think that has entirely changed my way, because see, when you are practicing on your own and you know that there's no one to look at you, there's no one who is watching you, then you just speak and let that go. But when you imagine that somebody is looking at you, or like hundreds of people are looking at you and you have to perform in front of them, you automatically act in a very different way. You automatically sound like completely different. I mean, if you do not believe me, you can record that. I mean, it is something I would recommend to everyone, and this is something I still follow. I still imagine myself standing in front of crowd and standing in front of hundreds of people, and I just try to deliver my messages. This is going to be completely life changing for you. So whenever you get chance to speak, or whenever you are practicing with yourself, imagine that you have to perform in front of others. That could be in any interview, that could be with your friends, that could be in your classroom or in your office. It could be anything, but do that. So these are the steps I have been focusing on from the beginning of my journey. And surprisingly, I still follow all of these steps. I still create different kinds of sentences. I still answer different kinds of questions. I still imagine that I'm speaking and performing in front of thousands of people so that I have that kind of confidence. And I feel when you have that kind of confidence, you automatically perform better. You try to make your points as concise and as clear as you could. So, yeah, and these are the steps I would highly recommend you to follow if you want to speak in English fluently. So, that's all about this video. I hope you liked this video. So, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye.